You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, soap opera fans. This is SoapDirt.com, and we are here to talk about how they will handle John Aniston's death and what is the fate of Victor Kiriakis on Days of Our Lives, including outcomes for the character's death now that the iconic actor has passed on. Let's dig into this. You may recall that John Aniston's last appearance as Victor Kiriakis was on December 22nd, 2022. It was Aniston's daughter, herself an acting icon, that confirmed his death. Jennifer Aniston announced on Monday, November 14th, 2022, that her father passed away. He died on November 11th, 2022, and that was about 6 weeks before his last scenes aired. Jennifer Aniston said at the time of her father, "You were one of the most beautiful humans I ever knew. I am so grateful that you went soaring into the heavens in peace and without pain, and on 11/11 no less. You always had perfect timing. That number will forever hold an even greater meaning for me. Now I'll love you till the end of time. Don't forget to visit." It was a very sweet tribute. John Aniston appeared as Victor Kiriakis in more than 3,000 episodes of Days of Our Lives, starting way back in 1985. In fact, an episode aired that featured him as Victor the same day that he died in November 2022. So now we wonder if the Peacock soap opera is going to host an on-screen funeral for Victor Kiriakis now that his portrayer passed away. It's important to note that the soap tapes about 6 months ahead. So those scenes that aired in December were taped back in June, about 5 months before he passed away. And there are no future episodes with new scenes of him. That was it. He had not taped in now almost a year. So how are they going to handle this? Days executive producer Ken Corday called John Aniston one of the best and an icon, and said his passing is a profound loss for everyone. And of course, longtime NBC soap watchers will agree. But the lurking question is, how will they handle his death on the Peacock daytime drama? Will they write out Victor Kiriakis and announce that his character died too? If they do, you can imagine that Maggie Horton will be crushed if they kill off Victor. And also, everyone in Salem would be hard hit by the death of this iconic character. The same way fans are devastated by the death of John Aniston and have been for months since we found out he passed away. In recent years, Aniston appeared sparsely on the NBC soap, and he was usually seated, rarely seen standing, as he had some health complications. The most recent scenes that name-dropped Victor had Maggie Horton talking on the phone with her husband, with his side of the conversation unheard. He named Maggie as CEO of Titan instead of Alex Kiriakis once Sonny Kiriakis left town. So if Days of Our Lives writes Victor's death into the current storylines, we would expect that Maggie would be hard hit. In fact, we would expect Maggie would turn back to the bottle, as she has so many times before on the soap opera when she suffers a big setback like this. Now, in his final year on Days of Our Lives, Aniston taped just 21 episodes as Victor Kiriakis in the calendar year of 2022. But they didn't tape an exit for his character, and we all know this. The Peacock soap confirmed his last episode would be December 26, 2022, and it was. It was a Christmas season episode that saw Victor Kiriakis chewing out little Leo Stark. So actor Greg Rickhart was one of the last people to share screen time with him. When Sonny Kiriakis, now played by Zach Tinker, came in, Victor called Leo a, pardon my mispronunciation, Calicantzaroi. Calicantzaroi? I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's a Greek goblin that pops up out of the ground and kills people at Christmas, which was pretty funny because it was an episode that took place Christmas week. Now, the big question is how and if Days of Our Lives will address Aniston's death in storylines and also end Victor Kiriakis' life. Clearly, there are no more scenes to air of Victor, and that means no closure for characters and fans in a way. Consider how they treated the death of Joseph Mascola, who played Stefano DiMero. He passed away on December 8th, 2016, and his final scene as Stefano aired in February of 2017. But it wasn't a death scene. Instead, he broke out of prison and ran off. And he was name dropped pretty often, even to now, with kind of a constant threat of will he rise from the ashes, because he had so many different death scenes over the years and he never died. But in 2019, the soap said he died of a brain tumor, and that was when they uploaded his consciousness into Steve Johnson, who became a new Stefano DiMero, which is very strange, but the question is, would Joseph Mascola have minded this? Probably not, considering all the different ways he played the character out. But there's, even to now, this specter of Stefano. His portrait remains over the fireplace. His kids talk to him as they're scheming, and there's this threat that Dr. Rolf might have him somewhere and could bring him back. Remember, there was a whole thing where Dr. Rolf had made little Stefano embryos. So even though it's been years, he's involved and he's invoked often on the Peacock soap. So we're stuck with this big question of whether Days of Our Lives will do the same thing with Victor Kiriakis, or will they write him out? On his last episode in December 26th, Victor laid into Sonny about letting Leo into their home. His very last line spoken on the soap opera was, "You, Sonny, would have some splaining to do." And then he leveled this intense glare at Sonny, and that was it. Then at the end of the episode, they aired some flashback scenes of Victor Kiriakis through the years and some loving scenes with his wife, Maggie. And then they put up a tribute card dedicated to Aniston in the closing moments. On that tribute card, it said, "In loving memory of John Anthony Aniston, 1933 to 2022, good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." It was very sweet. So realistically, Days of Our Lives can keep going as they are indefinitely. Right now, Victor's wife Maggie is running Titan, and she and Alex mention phone chats and text with him. They can carry on with that as long as they want, if you think about it. They did it with Mascola's character Stefano for years, so will they do the same for Victor Kiriakis, who is kind of the flip side of that coin and the other big villain of that same era? Will they keep it going? Maybe. For now, we're all kind of waiting to see what happens. Basically, there are two choices. There's an off-screen death for the Titan mogul that they can then reveal on screen because they have no death scenes to use, or they can keep it status quo, where he's name dropped and kept in the storyline for weeks, months, or even years to come. So what do you think? What would you like to see happen with Victor Kiriakis on Days of Our Lives? Do you want them to kill off the character so that we get a big funeral with more flashbacks and lots of tributes? Or would you like to see him just be mentioned and they just let it rock on for years to come? Let us know what you think. And be sure to come back to soapdirt.com for all the latest articles on Days of Our Lives spoilers and news. Check out our podcast on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, and check our YouTube channel often for tons more Days of Our Lives videos. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.